So far in the process, we have looked at setting up a new company inside of QuickBooks Pro 2013. We've set up our general fund, although we know that basically we can set up the SPLOST fund or a water and sewer fund similarly, but we've chosen to set up each fund as a new company. Then the second thing that we've done is we've looked at how you would go about setting up your uniform chart of accounts. We set up a bank account, we set up several revenue accounts, and we set up expenditure accounts. Remembering that you should first decide what departments and functions that you are going to use before you start that setup process. And we also discussed that you should go to the uniform chart of accounts to determine which accounts you should set up as opposed to starting from your internal documents. Now we're going to familiarize ourselves a little bit with the navigation of QuickBooks Pro using some of the resources that QuickBooks have actually built inside of them. The Help menu has tutorials and guides that will assist you with questions. The Quick Start Center is where a navigation guide can be used. So here under the Help menu, if you click on the Quick Start, it'll bring you to a couple of different things. That in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see that there is a video camera or a movie camera with a yellow arrow beside it. And this is how to navigate and to get around QuickBooks. The tutorials that are inside QuickBooks are very short, but you're able to stop and to stop and go so that you can actually take it at the pace that you need to in order to find out what how it's best to actually navigate. The navigational tools I find are very helpful, and it's a very good thing to do, especially if you are a new QuickBooks user and you haven't done anything inside QuickBooks before. The home page is like any home page. It's a great place that basically kind of takes you back to start, and so that you know that you're starting out fresh. And here's kind of what the home page looks like. And the home page has a couple of different things inside it, and it's important to know what each one of these sections do and what each one of these sections mean. The area over here in yellow to the left, these are your functional areas inside QuickBooks. If I'm looking for something functionally, I go to this area. For example, if I want to click and I want to find something related to a vendor and what I've paid a vendor, I click on the left-hand side and I click Vendor. But you can also get to that same place by the area that is orange. You can click on the yellow, not the yellow, but the blue box at the top. You could click on Vendors and you could actually get to the same place. The area in orange is based on process flow. You will notice the arrows are going in different directions. So because the arrows are going in different directions, that is a process flow, meaning do step A before you do step B. For example, for vendors and accounts payable, you would enter the bill before you would pay the bill. In payroll, for example, you would enter the time before you pay your employees. In invoicing and customers, you would create the invoice, you would receive their payment, and then you would record the deposit. You're following the flow and the arrows across. So the orange arrow is based on the flow. The red arrow indicates you can click on these and it will take you to that full section. If you want to see everything related to payroll, click Employees. Now, and we haven't gone through the process yet of setting up payroll, so you do not see as many icons on the bottom as you would if we had already completed the payroll process setup. If you want to go to your vendors and accounts payable, you could click on that box up at the very top and be able to see that. So again, navigationally, you can get to the same place multiple ways. In yellow, you can get it by functional arrow. In the orange, you can click by process flow, and the red will click you to the take you to the full section of that particular area. This is a page from one of the guides that are inside QuickBooks. Guides are very useful because in QuickBooks they have three different kinds. They have a quick start guide, a user guide, and an official guide. And there are three different levels of detail. But inside the guides, again, navigationally, this can kind of go over how you get to where. Up at the very top, you can do all of your tasks using the menus. The menus can take you anywhere inside of QuickBooks that you actually want to go. And in the white space, this is the home page like we talked about. And then how you know you're at home is up at the top. It'll say City of Exampleville, and then it'll say Home. So you know that you are at the home page. And this is kind of how you navigate to all the places inside QuickBooks, the vendors, the customers, and the employees. Again, like we mentioned on the left-hand side, this is how you create some of your own shortcuts. You can customize your shortcuts. This is your functional area, and this is a way that if these are things you come to frequently, you can customize that to make those to be the ones that you go to the most often. In the employee that is actually there, remember that is a center. So it's an employee center or a customer center or a vendor center. And you can go to each one of those by clicking there. And if you want to customize your home page, meaning, okay, my screen doesn't look like your screen. So how do I get my screen to look like I want it to? The way you do that is through under QuickBooks up at the top, you would click on Edit, and then you would click on Preferences and your desktop view, and then by changing your preferences will determine what shows up. For example, if I answer in my preferences that I'm not going to do invoicing, then it'll remove all the stuff from my home page where I do invoicing to customers. If I'm not going to do payroll inside QuickBooks, and in my preferences I tell them I'm not doing payroll, then it will remove the payroll side. So that's how you get your screens to look. So oftentimes you'll see somebody set up QuickBooks, and then another person will set up QuickBooks, and you're like, well, my screen doesn't look like that screen. That's all within your preferences and your preference setup. As I mentioned, these navigation aids, the Quick Start aid and the guide is about 8 pages. The user guide is for a little more experienced user as you start to use it for a few days, a few weeks. But the official guide is when you're really trying to find some in-depth answers. And of course, you can always use the help in the Quick Start Center too. So today we've done 3 objectives. We've set up our QuickBooks company. We've done our general fund Exampleville. We've shown you how to set up a few charts, a few line items inside your charts, and the groupings to get that chart to look like financial statements. Because keep in mind, a chart is just kind of where we post information, but how we actually process that information and present that information is based on how we do those groupings and those sub-accounts. And we also went over how do you actually navigate inside of QuickBooks Pro 2013 using all the resources that QuickBooks already has within it and knowing what those are.